Hey, welcome back to Leading Edge. Good to have you along. When you hear people talking about the police these days, it's not that unusual to hear maybe critical comments about police behavior, police accountability, police relations with, let's say, some segments of society that don't really view police as protectors. Remember when the city appointed a commission to look into and tackle the thorniest of these problems? And the commission came away with, a few suggestions for improving those relationships. But it had to admit that the issues were so deeply seated that they really defied solutions, at least nothing in the short term. But against that background, I'm going to suggest when somebody's breaking in the back door of your house, the first people you're going to call are the police. And you hope and you expect and you pray that they arrive and they protect and they serve. This is National Police Week, a designation, I think, going back to the Kennedy administration, early 60s. And I welcome in Police Chief Mark Hummer, Lake Township Police Department. Mr. Hummer, also the Township Administrator. Good to see you, young man. And I say young, although I just found out he's the longest serving law enforcement officer in Wood County, starting his 39th year. He apparently started when he was 8.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I tell people I don't have to wear the stars on my sleeve. They can look at my face and see I've been around a while.
They've got the well. You have your community policing officer, who's your crime prevention officer, Ron Craig. I've known Ron for years. He has penned an article for the Suburban Press that I thought really makes us sit up and take notice, Chief, because I think a lot of people hear township police and they think, oh yeah, they'll catch an occasional speeder, a red stop sign runner, red light runner, get a cat down from a tree. But his article recounts some real life dramas in which, with guns drawn, your guys have to go against some bad dudes.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We have, every small town faces the same dangers. Every small town officer faces the same dangers as our brothers and sisters in the bigger cities. Maybe not on the frequency, but, in our jurisdiction, for example, we've got the Turnpike and I-280 running right through it. We have 5,000 guests a night sleep at our truck stop. So we have a city within a city, and we have a lot of traffic issues. So yeah, we've seen our share of violent criminals and we're expected to apprehend them just like everybody else.
How do you, Chief, characterize the importance that people, the residents, the citizens, place on protection?
Well, we passed a levy, an additional funding levy for our police department in the middle of COVID, when people were, suffering, not knowing their futures with the economy and everything else. And we almost got 70% of the vote for additional funding. People out here, our residents truly see the value in having a well-funded, well-equipped police department. And we're very fortunate.
So they see the need. They support you guys, but your profession, Chief, does face challenges in terms of recruitment and retention, doesn't it? The police, something called the Police Executive Research Forum, and this was 2021, so recent stuff. Their survey from law enforcement agencies on all different levels reported an 18% increase in resignations, 45% increase in retirements, and that was just compared to the previous year. Why is that happening?
It's become kind of a brutal profession to be in, and the issues we deal with on the street are being magnified sometimes by the mistakes that some of our officers make, and the whole law enforcement gets a black eye out of that. And there's a lot of pressure and a lot of critique, which is fair. We need to be critiqued, but sometimes it feels as though we're not getting a fair shake on the law enforcement side. So that combined with, it is a dangerous job. It's you strap on a gun and a bulletproof vest to go to work. It's not a normal thing. So it takes a special person to want to do it. But it is down. When I took my test for Perrysburg, there were a couple hundred people took that test. Yeah. Now Perrysburg's out recruiting from smaller agencies because nobody's taken the test anymore.
Well, let's do that because, okay, people leave. We understand why, and you've given us some of their motivations. Here's a 2019 report from the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Again, all levels, federal, state, local. 78% of agencies, 78% say they have trouble recruiting eligible candidates. 75%, that's 3 out of 4, report recruiting more difficult now than it was in the past. Do you see that?
We do see it. I'm not going to lower our standards for our officers. We don't have a problem here. There are officers willing to come here. And that's built on our reputation as a good place to work. We have a great police department. We have a great community. But do I have the amount of applicants that I had before? No, it's down across the board.
I'm going to respect this. Chief Mark Hummer, by the way, police chief out in Lake Township. He's been in law enforcement 39 years. Good Lord, started his 39th year. But you say you won't lower the bar, and I respect that. But some apparently are, because that same survey, International Association of Chiefs of Police, 50% of agencies said they had to change their policies to increase the number of qualified candidates. I read that as they had to lower the bar. And then what about how that affects all of us out here? Sometimes policing itself can get watered down. 25% of agencies had to reduce or eliminate services, units, or positions due to staffing difficulties. Now you're out here, that's where we live, and that's what we should be concerned about. You mentioned something. I don't like to dwell on statistics because people look at those as numbers. National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund talked about law enforcement officers dying in 2021, saw a huge increase, 55% increase from the previous year. Most of those losing their lives to COVID. When people talk about the first people out there, the police officers, the most exposed. But make no mistake, the number of officers killed by a gun increasing 36%. Traffic-related incident killings, such as during traffic stops, up 38%. And this is a dangerous, dang profession.
It is. And, there is no work from home. There is no opportunity sometimes to wear a mask or protect yourself because we're expected to respond immediately. Our equipment needs are being met with bulletproof vests and appropriate armament, but society in general has changed. And it's not just police officers. Homicide rates across the board are up. We have people killing people as well, and we're getting caught up in that.
These are still well-paying jobs, great benefits, attractive retirement packages. But what else do police officers get from wearing the uniform? I'm talking non-monetary stuff. I mean, they're just a different breed of cat, aren't they?
Well, yeah, we as a profession are different. It is a calling. There's no other way it can be described other than a calling. It is a brother and sisterhood that enjoys helping people. And of course, there's some adrenaline rush in that, with getting bad people off the street. That feels good. It feels good to help people.
Yeah.
Not only do we get paid, we get a self-satisfaction at the end of the day that, you helped your community. You helped someone.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't do anything, just your presence may have prevented something from happening.
And at the end of the day, folks, well, I toss some numbers out there in percentages. Police officers, you like to point this out, Chief, they are, after all, people. They're your neighbors. They're somebody's son, daughter, husband, wife, mother, the dad. These are folk.
They're people. Yeah. One of my officers, a pursuit started in Toledo in February, and they came down here. And the gentleman they were pursuing literally rammed one of my cruisers on purpose. And he could have seriously hurt my officer. Yeah. And when we did catch him, which we did catch him, I had some unsavory things to say to him.
I'm not surprised Chief Hummer shared some sentiments with that.
I did. Yes.
Well, on that note, let's leave it right there with a thank you to everybody who wears the uniform. This is National Police Week, and I wanted to get somebody in here who has lived it, who has breathed it, and continues to protect and to serve. Chief Mark Hummer, Lake Township, thanks for what you do. Pass it along to your troops and other police officers out there.
Thank you for what you do as well, Jerry, getting the message out.
Take good care, Chief, and we'll be right back.